So I guess I'll go ahead and take the Escape the Atmosphere contract as well, because we know that's something we're going to want to do. So what the contracts do, they give you a little bit of structure for the direction you might want to go in. Contracts also give you a bunch of money. They give you some in advance. They tend to give you some as a reward as well for completing things. And it is one of the biggest ways that you add money. Well, actually, I guess it's the only way you add actual money to your resources, right? So your cash here. So the contracts tend to give you money that you can use to build your rockets, and your rockets are responsible for getting science through a variety of means that will then let you go through the tech tree. And let me tell you, it takes a long time to progress through the tech tree. This is the community tech tree mod that rearranges a few things and mostly adds a lot of support and placeholder for different mods and things like that that tie into this. So some of these late game ones in here, maybe, yeah, so like this may actually be empty in the mostly stock configuration that I'm running. So I don't have anything that adds like nuclear power, like, or experimental or exotic nuclear power, for example. But I could add more mods that go in there. So the tech tree's, again, been changed up a fair bit, but not too badly. So our first goal is, I mean, always getting more science, but our first contract is to try to get a rocket up to 18 kilometers. And that's not too hard. In fact, reaching space is not hard. Staying in space is the hard part. And then, you know, coming back safely. But our first contract, the Kerbal planetary government has issued before us is, can we get a rocket to 18 kilometers above the surface of Kerbin here, which is where the atmosphere starts to get thin. It changes from what we consider like the low altitude to high altitude, but definitely not in space yet. Yeah, Factorio train stuff will probably have to come back. What was happening in the alpha is that it kept coming out with a lot of patches that kept tweaking a few things, and I was starting to feel like I don't really want to continue right now until it's settled into the final like version of this particular alpha, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, if you played Kerbal before, in their pods over here you might be expecting, again, manned pods, but no, we actually just start with a couple of probe cores over here. The Probodobenine Octo, which you might be familiar with, and there's also the SETI probe stack over here, which is more expensive, but actually comes with a built-in thermometer, which is nice, and a little bit more battery power. But it's actually got the thermometer experiment built right into this particular component, so we'll probably use it for simplicity. So yeah, we're just gonna go and shoot this bad boy straight up. So what do we need? We need a nose cone, aerodynamics, boop, and then we need some sort of go juice over here. Now we have no liquid fuel tanks. All we've got are solid rocket boosters, so we'll use the big one, the bigger one anyway, over here. Under science, do we have another? We do have the press mat barometer, which we could throw on here. So an air pressure barometer. I mean, this isn't going to do wonderful things for the aerodynamics, but that's okay. And the thing is, this rocket, this is not going to come back. This is not going to land safely. Really, what this is, our initial funding came from the Kerbal military system. So initially, we're trying to design some sort of like intercontinental ballistic missile, which is what this is mostly going to represent, rather than a rocket that comes back. So if we did want to science, now the thing is, to complete the contract, we don't have to science. But if we want to do the science and get to keep any of it, since this rocket is just going to be crash landing, we need to put an antenna on here. Now the probe core by itself does have a antenna built in so that you can control it remotely, but it explicitly says cannot transmit science. So if we want to be able to get any of this, and you know, we do want the science, we are going to need to put on an antenna. So I'm going to use this one and just rotate it around that way. It's a little awkwardly shaped. It's just the same price. Is it the same weight? Okay, this one's heavier, but you don't have to extend it or anything, which is good, because we're only going to be doing atmospheric flight, and this other one might rip off in the atmosphere. So we've got a big antenna on the side, huge. We've got a couple of experiments, so we can get a little bit of science in here. But other than that, we're going straight up. Now, the thing we're going to do is, if we were to launch this right here, because our whole rocket is so light, the thrust from this SRB would be so strong that we would rapidly run into, like, hitting the speed of sound and all kinds of atmospheric problems. I love the fact that the flag shows up there too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one. Actually, before we do that, we're going to make sure to throw a trio of fins on here for a little bit of stabilization. So this thing won't really be able to steer. There are reaction wheels in this probe core, but mostly it's going to go straight up and then mostly come straight down. But yeah, if you right-click on the SRB, or any engine, in fact, you can limit the thrust to make it less powerful. So I'm running MechJeb here, which is going to give us your delta V numbers, although that's not so hard to calculate. Or not the delta V, it's the thrust to weight I'm talking about, which is really not hard to calculate at all. And we're going to bring it somewhere around here, so that we don't burn as strong. So we'll burn longer. Your total delta V is exactly the same. But the thing is, if you went full bore, you'd quickly run into the sound barrier and air pressure thing, so you'd be wasting a lot of your fuel pushing against the air. So by keeping the thrust to weight ratio a little bit more reasonable, you will be spending more of your burn once you're higher up and in thinner atmosphere, so it's going to work out better. So that's it. I think this is going to be our initial little sort of sounding probe. Do we name the designs after subscribers, or do we name individual ships after subscribers? Do we just come up with a creative name for the ship design, or an uncreative name for the ship design? What's going to be our naming methodology here? Like, what should this initial rocket be called? We're probably only going to fling one version of this, and then we'll be able to do something else, because we'll have unlocked some science. So I think I have randomized the subscriber list. So I think we're just going to call this the Emeraunt Mark 1. Well, I don't think there'll ever be another, like, wow, it's almost like sounding rocket Mark 1, and then it's like code-named Emeraunt or something like that. That gets a bit long, but it sort of makes sense. So the sounding rocket Mark 1, codenamed Emeraunt. And I think we've got that. I mean, there's nothing really else that we could add. We're not going to need life supports. We don't have any parachutes. We've got all the science experiments. I mean, I didn't have to add the thermometer because it's built in that probe core. So I think we'll go. So let's lunch. Let's lunch this rocket. Bum, 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 bum. So we got a couple tips came in. A cool man fight sent another tip and said, "What? There's a space kraken? How is that even a thing?" So the space kraken is a nickname for the mysterious invisible monster that causes your spaceships to occasionally, like, break apart because the physics engine sometimes goes a little bit funny. Whenever the physics engine causes some sort of, like, glitches and weirdness, you just blame the space kraken. Mostly it's a problem when you've got very big, very complicated ships, and mostly it was more of a prevalent problem in earlier versions of Kerbal. Most of some of the weird, buggy physics interactions have mostly been flattened out, and the move to Unity 5 some time ago actually did help a lot as well. But especially with some of the modded content that adds some bizarre physics behavior, you can definitely still get attacked by the space kraken from time to time. We shouldn't have a problem with this one, though. And Fack, hey, thank you very much for your tip as well. Hey, Quill, since getting a new job, this is the first stream I've caught live in a while. I was going to say, I don't remember seeing your name for a bit. Have fun and try not to leave anyone behind. We've never done that. We've never done anything like leave a Kerbal stranded in another planet for like a decade. We would never do that. Anyway, so what you can do is you can right-click on these various parts, including parts that have science experiments, like, say, the barometer over here, and get some data. I am running a mod here called Automated Science that will automatically pop up as if you had right-clicked on the part whenever the part has science that it can do for you. Because good God, does that ever reduce some of the tedium, so you don't, like, forget to run an experiment or something, especially experiments that are biome dependent. So as you, like, fly over a biome, you, like, don't realize, oh, I'm over mountains now and I could have run an experiment, especially if it's a very tiny window to do it and you're busy, you know, flying a freaking spaceship. So this will be very handy that it comes up for us. So we've got some atmospheric pressure data from the launch pad here. No signs of adverse weather incoming. We can launch at any time. So that was that. I'm going to transmit that back to Central Command because your experiments can normally just store one copy of the data results, but if you transmit it, it'll empty it out. It does use some power, but that's going to be okay. We've got tons of juice on here for what we need. Temperature scan from the launch pad. Temperature readings are quite literally nominal. Excellent. We'll transmit that as well. Boom. So these experiments will be ready to run if we get into a different situation. And as soon as we lift off, these experiments will actually run again in the air above the Kerbal Space Center as opposed to landed at the launch pad, so that's quite good. So, we don't have a whole lot to do to launch. We've just got one stage. I'm going to enable SAS here, which is part of the probe core. It's just going to go like for stability. And I'm going to hit go. We have liftoff! There we go. Some more science that I'm going to transmit. You can't always transmit all science for 100%. Only some experiments, but this can, which is good because, again, this rocket's not coming home in one piece. So our goal is to get as high up as possible, ideally past the 18K mark, if we can. As we hit 100 meters per second here, I am going to go and turn eastwise a little. Now, it's going to be very tough to influence this much because there's no gimbaling on the rocket, and our fins here don't have any like control surfaces, and in fact they want to keep us pointing straight. So pushing over using just reaction wheel is a little hard, but there we go. I just wanted a slight angle so that when we come down somewhere in the ocean and not directly back onto our launch pad, because that would be incredibly awkward. We got some cities over there. So let's try not to crash on those guys in the future either. That would be pretty nice. I know! Sometimes you forget, and then you come right back down, and you can't actually, like, smash your buildings and have to repair them. So, I don't want to turn too much, though, because we don't actually have that much Delta V. So, we want to make sure that we can get above 18K. 15, 16, 17... 18K, yeah, so we're definitely going to go above that. We're not that high yet, we're at 12K, but this is showing us what our predicted highest point in our, well, orbit normally, the apoapsis is, but here's just going to be the peak of our little ballistic curve. So there we have it. So I was going to say, once we cross over 18, we're going to be in the high atmosphere, so we do another atmospheric scan. Is it time for snacks yet? Well, luckily this one is unmanned, though, so... Chilly up here in the thin wisps of the upper atmosphere. You report to the KSC, and they laugh back something about being happy they're in their shoes. Again, this is unmanned. Most of the comments assume that there's supposed to be a Kerbal in the tin here. And that's it. So 22K. We've completed our mission. There you go. Hooray! New altitude record, 18 kilometers. And we're just about to hit the peak of our arc. But look! The moon is over there. We have a target. We can see the curvature of Kerbal here. How excellent. We can see that divide with the black sky above us. And the moon. But now we are on our way down. So I'll turn off the SAS, so it'll just sort of like free go like a dart. I'm not controlling this anymore. It will end up pointing downwards as things kick in. But we have nothing else to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn on physics warping. So we're going to go at quad speed and just watch this come down. Oh, more science as we go over the water. So as you cross different biomes, some experiments can be repeated over different biomes. And sometimes at different altitudes as well. So the temperature scan apparently is when you can do low altitude above the water. So that's quite good. We got a little bit more science. And you know what? We won't have to go too far to pick up the debris. Bam! Okay. So catastrophic failure. That was not a catastrophic failure. That was entirely according to plan. Don't put words in my mouth. That's fake news. That was a huge success is what that was. You forgot this is an ICBM. Its purpose to hit those cities. Well, not those cities. The cities of our enemies. So, we got some science because we're able to transmit things back, which is great. So we can unlock a few things over here. The question is, what do we unlock first? Because we actually don't have enough to do basic rocketry and engineering. I mean, almost, but not quite. I'll do the engineering because it actually unlocks a few science experiments here, as well as giving us some rover bits, which is going to be really great. These structural parts, I think we can live without these for now, so we're going to not clutter up our panel at this time. That's going to be okay. And yeah, we don't... Oh, we could get stability stuff if we wanted to start working on a plane. Actually, we literally could make a full plane with just this. Does it include the Juno engine? The intake? Yeah, right there. Huh. Full jet plane things over here. Let me get back to you. Because what we've just done is we've unlocked some rover bits. And so what we're going to do is we're going to practice some of our groundcraft here, and we're going to roam around and do some science at the KSC. Because we actually have an outstanding contract for performing experiments around the KSC. We have to do temperature scans in a variety of spots just around the Space Center. Just, you know, we're going to make sure that we understand how to do the science, how to run some rovers, that sort of thing. So we're probably going to start that next. Park testing is a great way to get some easy money, but I think we're going to be able to do just fine without it. So let's build ourselves a little rover. Fly around Kerbal in a plane. We are absolutely going to do that. I mean, we're not going to fly around Kerbal in a plane, but we're going to fly around. So here is, this is actually a probe core that'll run on its own. So it can be remote controlled. But what I want to do is actually put this seat on here. So we're going to have a chair that the Kerbal's going to sit in and just steer around. We don't actually need to have a Kerbal on here, but it's going to be like way more awesome. It's going to feel cool to do that. And then we're going to go to the ground bits and we're going to grab some rover wheels over here. And we're going to make ourselves a vehicle. We're going to hit C and then X for some mirroring like that. Now, these are electric powered wheels, so they use kind of a lot of juice. Oh, we don't have solar panels yet. I might want to throw on a battery pack. I'm going to go ahead and just throw one on the back here. Actually, I'm going to put one on the front because it might offset the weight of the Kerbal. I'm not sure. And then we're going to throw some science experiments on here. So we're going to throw on the thermometer. We're going to put on the seismograph, the pressure mat barometer. And that's it. We're not going to do the submersible oceanography and bathymetry thing because I think you have to be underwater for that. Data can be collected above and below the depth threshold. Maximize science gain. Yeah, so that's ocean research. We'll have to make a boat later, but right now we don't. So, and then we'll throw in an antenna because again, we want to be able to repeat these experiments. Communication. Yeah, we can use this Communitron over here. That's going to be fine. Okay, and we're gonna launch this. So we're gonna call this. So this will be the Rover Mark 1, codenamed Humpapotamus. There we go. And we're going to make sure we've got a scientist in that seat. Now, normally you can't preload someone in the command chair. There's a mod for that called Take Command that I'm running, which allows you to put a Kerbal in this right away, because otherwise it's kind of awkward to do it. So we're going to go ahead and launch this. Throw a cockpit instead for crew reports. That's true. We'd get more science out of it with that, but it would not look as cool. So we're going to do... apparently we're counting as EVA'd right now. And a seismic scan over here. And didn't we just do this? Oh, because it's still uploading. Oh, because it's a huge amount of data, this seismic scan. Like, I couldn't figure out why this window kept coming up. My automated science thing was a little confused. There we go. Let me just reset that. All right, let's drive around. Check this out. Vroom. So we're just going to go around to find different... I'm sorry, are you out of power? Holy crap, we used that much electric charge. We're out of juice. Okay, that's fine. We're going to throw some extra batteries on there, because apparently transmitting like the huge amount of seismic data, and I did hit the button more than once, so it might have doubled up on that, just drained our power too much. It'll be great when we get solar panels. More batteries. So batteries are heavy, and they can be expensive sometimes, but we're not taking this into space. And we're obviously going to be recovering it. So we're going to throw some more 9-volt batteries on here. Batman batteries. There we are. Bob. I mean, having a scientist do this doesn't actually make any difference, but it feels like it makes sense, doesn't it? More batteries equal more better. That's right. So we'll actually extend the antenna right away. Let's go. Food depleted, water depleted, oxygen depleted. That's just our life support mod. It's going to be fine because our Kerbals can actually live for 2 hours without that stuff, which what it actually means is they're just living in their spacesuit. So this is a spacesuit and a rover test. So we're going to enter the causeway over here so we can go and transmit this stuff. Yeah, not the seismic scan, because we've already sent that. Okay, it's a little annoying. I should... maybe I could... Nah, it's fine. We'll just have to wait for it to be sent. How much energy have we got? All right, it's still there. There we go. So now if I reset you, you won't bug me again because it's actually been sent. Excellent. Chugga, 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 chugga. Wouldn't it be cool to have one of these in real life? Like this Rover here? So this is the vehicle assembly building. There we go. So we're going to get more reports that we can send from there. Lovely. So we're just getting a tiny little bit of science from each one of these. God, the seismic scan is huge. If we threw more than one antenna on here, would we send it faster? I'm not sure. Now, where do we need to be for this mission? R&D, runway. Okay, and we need another thing. Okay, so we'll have to go to the runway for one of these. We don't have to do this all in one mission, though. So this is the command center. This is where we get our missions from. How's our power? All right, still there. We might have to do one more run. We might run out of batteries again. We need to get some lithium-ion cells or whatever. Like my old go-kart when I was a young lad. I always wanted a real go-kart. I made I guess you'd call it something like a soapbox derby race or whatever. Like just, you know, wooden thing with wheels. So there we go. We'll get some runway reports. And then the seismic scan's gonna try to run again. And where's the last location? The runway we're doing now. Did we not do the launch pad one? Electricity's running out. It sure is. Now, if it doesn't send anything before power runs out, that's okay. This might still complete. Oh. But maybe we'll have to just double check these again after. So here, instead of sending it, we're going to turn on the brakes. We're going to just keep all these experiments because we're basically going to have no power, and we'll just recover the vessel at this point. Who is that? Mr. Culture! Well, thank you very much for the tip, Mr. Culture. Hi, Quill, you're my favorite streamer. Thank you for all the videos. I've learned Civ and RimWorld from you. And it's my birthday on Monday. Please enjoy a nice whiskey on me. Well, thank you very much! Happy birthday, and thank you very much for doing a Hobbit-style birthday celebration there. You know, the Hobbits, they give gifts to other people on their birthdays. Thank you, Mr. Culture. Which makes me think, in Civ, we're going to be doing a culture run next time. Alright, that's good. So, yeah, we finished another bit, but we didn't finish it all. We've got to do... So, at R&D, we have to do a temperature. Location. Just KSC. Oh! Not at any of the sub-locations of the KSC. Just the KSC in general, which is fine. We can do that. So we're gonna rover one more time, and we're gonna drive over to the science buildings over here with our rover. And in the meantime, we'll sort of clip out of any of their bits, and that should work. Oh, did we make 2 copies of this? Oh, we did. Really? It didn't just save over it? Okay, well, we're gonna accidentally double-click, which is not what I want to do. I was gonna say we're gonna delete the old one, but I double-clicked on it as I was alternating. By the way, doesn't anyone know how to get rid of the little messages about, like, Steam controller enabled this mode or that mode or anything like that? Because it's kind of driving me crazy. So select this one and delete. Select this one. And again, it feels to me like it makes sense to have our scientists drive this. So we're going to go ahead and launch that thing. You should be studying right now. You can always study later, after the stream. No, I'm a bad influence. Don't listen to me. Alright, so if we go and just get out of any of these, I think it'll count as the KSC science. This one here, just location KSC. Maybe down here where it's flat. There it is. Transmit, 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 transmit. That pops up again. We'll just leave it there until the transmissions are done. Whee! So we got to go to the R&D, but we're going to stop by the tracking station on the way to pick up some science there. It's not needed for the contract, but it's going to be a bunch more science. One of the blueprints was auto-saved. Ah, okay. Right. The most recent... Maybe I didn't save this one properly. Oh, it's fine. Transmit. Transmit that one, actually. Because I didn't close that on time from before. It might be double transmitting something. I can't believe we haven't killed Bill yet. I was fully expecting him to have a horrible injury with this Rover. But it's actually pretty stable. Even with all four wheels turning. Go downhill here. Okay, reset that. So then as soon as we come up here, that will be the research center. Transmit. There we go. And that'll be the last one for the mission. But what we want to do is... That's the astronaut center over there, and I don't think we collected the science from that. I don't remember. Maybe we did, but we'll roam over there anyway and double check. Let me just hit the brakes. Okay, refresh you. Or are you still sending? Okay, let me just hit the brakes here and wait. The wide yet short wheelbase, like a smart car. Yeah, low center of gravity. Makes sense. And it actually could go pretty fast. Electricity is running out. Yeah, that's okay. You get the flag. Oh, the flag is a... That one? The flag is a biome? Well, hello. Oh, that's not worth enough science. That's not the one we want to do. We've already done it. You can set the threshold for how much science. Is it not this flag? Is it another flag? That's just the astronaut complex. Ah, there we go, administration. We're just going to keep all these, hit the brakes, recover the vessel. All right. Oh, you got to bop the flag. Oh, man. Okay, well, we'll consider coming back for it, because we are going to unlock some new experiments later, and we'll probably want to do a run-through and do all those things.